as I was describing briefly before, once a genome-wide association study has been done, the next step is to identify the causal genes that underlie the phenotypic differences or the differences in disease and normal population exist. Which are the genes that are associated with that? So as I was mentioning, this is called a Manhattan plot. The height of the bar of the plot denotes the strength of association. So for example, these two are more strongly associated with the disease than the ones that are lower here. Based on some statistical tests and inferences, one can identify the most likely causal variant in this peak, for example. So it's denoted here as a reference sequence 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is just as a toy example. Again, this being the most strongly associated with the phenotype. Now, what one can also do is to map, as I was explaining before, map where this variant or SNP lies. And once you know that, using various techniques which we won't go into too much detail, identify which of the 3 genes are being affected by this particular variant. And that can also be validated using an expression analysis which leads to a difference in the expression of a particular gene based on the phenotype. So if gene A is affected by the variation in at the SNP level, the expression level changes. If, for example, gene B was to be mapped, what you will see that gene B is one is here, another one is here, another one is here. So there is no difference in gene B, whereas as the variant changes, but as gene A variant changes, there is a difference in expression of the gene A. And again, using epigenetic maps, which can be defined using epigenomes, you can start building associations with various loci in the genome. Finally, because we now know the identity of a gene and what we have or what we already know from other studies that gene network maps are present in a cell, we can start identifying which pathways and molecular networks are being specifically perturbed by this particular variant. And this would lead to probably identification of possible drug targets, probably identification of possible pathways that need to be perturbed to maybe regulate the disease or treat the disease. We will discuss about networks much later in the this course, where more details about network analysis in biological sciences will be discussed. So now what I will do is to give you a few examples where prior to doing genome-wide association studies, we did not have any information about what are the genes associated with that particular disease and what are the effects of those genes in that particular disease. So one of the very common diseases worldwide is called inflammatory bowel disease. It causes diarrhea generally, and prior to GWAS, there were no genetic factors associated with it, right? We did not have any genetic idea or the genes that were involved in it. So a large scale genome wide association studies was done with 67,000 people, including healthy individuals. Again, as I said, it has to be control, which is the healthy, and the disease individuals, and several mutations were identified which were for the first time giving a genetic perspective of how that disease was being controlled. So altogether 163 genetic loci were identified. These are the two diseases, two forms of irritable bowel disease. This is called Crohn's disease, and this is ulcerative colitis. And as you can see, several genes across different chromosomes. These are the chromosomes of human, like 22 chromosomes in humans. And different genes in different chromosomes are known to be now associated with Crohn's disease. Similarly, different genes in different chromosomes are known to be associated with ulcerative colitis. And the breadth of this gene is indicative of how much this particular gene explains the total variation in Crohn's disease that is present in a population. So, for example, ILR, in this case IL23R, this gene, and NOD2 are the two major genes that contribute to the majority of the phenotypic differences we see in Crohn's disease. Similarly, IL23R also is a major gene in ulcerative colitis. These connections are for the common genes that are between the two sort of types of irritable bowel disease. So, as you can see, by doing genome-wide association analysis, scientists were able to identify mutations in specific genes which lead to this particular disease. Now, now that we know these genes, we can do function analysis, as I was describing just in the previous slide, to figure out what are the drug targets, what are the methods and interventions clinicians can take to control or reduce the effect of these diseases. Similarly, several mental disorders are very hard to determine in terms of genetics. To do genetic studies in mental disorders is very hard. So, for example, in schizophrenia, again, prior to this, it was very difficult to identify genetic causes of schizophrenia. Now, mental disorders generally are harder to define because usually they are not very specific. They like in the previous example of irritable bowel disease, either you have diarrhea or you don't have diarrhea. In this case, you can have a spectrum of disorder. You can have mild to severe, and because of that, it becomes harder to identify the disease associated genes because the spectrum, because of this noise essentially in the definition of a particular disease, it is harder to figure out which genes would be involved because lower intensity diseases versus higher intensity diseases can have different molecular players. So, when pooled genetic data from 37,000 schizophrenic patients was compared with almost thrice the number of controls across 20 countries, what was identified was that there was a particular combination of genes, C4A and C4B genes, which were shown to be associated with the disease. And this is a figure sort of which shows how the mapping of C4A and C4B was done. I won't go into details. This is something that we would probably cover in some other course that will be floated later on. But some of the very interesting associations came up with C4A and B genes, and what was also identified was that C4 variant promoted higher expression of C4A in brain tissues. So, this is sort of becoming more specific because it's a mental disorder, and this higher expression appeared to be more common in schizophrenic patients. So, there was a gene that was identified which was highly active in the brain tissue, and the change in the expression level of that gene was associated with schizophrenic patients. And therefore, excessive activity of C4A gene led to a particular process called synaptic pruning, and this was independently shown to be involved in loss of synapse that is observed in the brains of the schizophrenic patients. So, as you can see, GWAS studies were able to pinpoint a very relevant gene functionally involved in neuronal development or neuronal synaptic plasticity, and therefore its change in its expression because of certain variants identified in schizophrenic patients, there was now a molecular basis of it. So, one can imagine now that if there are drugs that can regulate or reduce the expression of C4A gene, there might be a possibility to reduce the effects of schizophrenia in the patients. So this is a very interesting study to show that there can be direct functionally associated genes identified through these genome-wide association studies. Another one, which is a very relevant disease in India as well, which is type 2 diabetes. India is fast becoming one of the epicenters of type 2 diabetes. And we do know a lot of genes involved in type 2 diabetes due to a large number of genome-wide association studies that have been done. So there was a diabetes genetics replication and meta-analysis. Meta-analysis is an analysis where several genome-wide association studies are pooled together. This consortium studied more than 10,000 subjects and identified 16 genetic regions that were associated with the type 2 diabetes. There was another study, a second iteration of that study, where more than 45,000 samples were then taken and 12 more regions were identified. So now nearly we have about 100 genetic loci associated with type 2 diabetes. Now, one of the genes that was identified was SLC16A11, and its expression was lower in liver when type 2 diabetes risk allele was present in a patient. So what it meant was that this particular variant or mutation was very specific for SLC16A11 gene, and reduced expression led to changes in the metabolic changes in liver, which increase the type 2 diabetes risk. Again, indicating that there can be a direct target that can be functionally associated with diabetes, with one of the most important, metabolically important organ in the human body, liver. So this is again an example of how large scale studies can identify very relevant targets, which can be then used to develop therapeutics to control or regulate a particular disease. And finally, we'll take a look at some of the results from coronary heart disease, which is again becoming very relevant for India. And genome-wide association studies have already identified a large number, up to 1,000 genetic variants associated with large spectrum of conditions associated with coronary heart diseases. And what was very interesting to find was that of the many variants that were identified, there were several genes that were known to be associated with metabolism of lipids, which we know for sure is one of the high lipid or high fat content, like sort of a blood level of lipid, and high blood lipid levels and high fat levels in blood are associated with high risk of coronary heart disease, and some of them were associated with blood pressure. So even high blood pressure is a risk factor in coronary heart disease. So it tells you that the genome-wide association studies in populations that is being done with specific populations, in this case European population, identified genes that are known to be associated with higher risk for a disease. So now you have not only the clinical information, clinical results showing that higher lipid content, high triglyceride, high cholesterol is a high risk for coronary heart disease, or high blood pressure is a high risk for coronary heart disease. You also know that mutations in the genes associated with these processes, metabolism of lipids or high blood pressure, lead to aberrant production or accumulation of cholesterol or lipid in the body, leading to higher coronary artery disease. And this is something that allows a research scientist to screen individuals and maybe advise them that given that you have this particular mutation in the genes associated with, let's say, lipid metabolism or high blood pressure, you should be careful and do lifestyle changes to reduce or mitigate the effects of this mutation, because it's not currently possible to change the mutation, but you can do all possible preventative measures to ensure that the metabolism, lipid metabolism or cholesterol levels are under control, etc., etc. So as you can see from these few success stories, the genome-wide association studies have been quite successful in giving genetic basis and giving the molecular framework for these diseases, which would have not been possible in many cases, especially mental disorders and various other diseases, and allows researchers to start developing a list of targets for which therapeutics can be developed.